Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone, the 1620 The Zone app, and 1620thezone.com. When 6A to 6P isn't enough, the boys have you covered. Here's Jimmy Allen
and John Schreiner.
Dan Camden, John Schreiner with you tonight. We're brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu, register for classes, become a Bruin tonight. We got a lot to get to. A Heisman Trophy has been returned to a former winner. Terrence Bud Crawford finally has a fight set for August 3rd. Brian Munson from Husker Online joins us to discuss the recruiting weekend in Lincoln in the spring game.
Yay, friends.
At 7 o'clock, we buy or sell on topics around Tommy John. And at 7:30, we will talk about the Jayhawks of Kansas men basketball coming to Omaha to take on your Creighton Blue Jays, as well as the rest of the slate set up for the Big 12 Big East showdown, set up this non-conference basketball season coming down the pipe. There's a ton of great matchups, and then I'm excited to discuss that. At 7:30, we will take your phone calls at 402-951-1620. You can follow the show at After Hours 1620 on Twitter as well. The co-offensive coordinator that coaches the tight ends, Marcus Satterfield, took to the podium yesterday and had a few interesting things to say, as well as E.J. Barthol, the running backs coach. But they kind of started – it feels like the Dylan Raiola era is finally getting nudged into the press conference room. This staff has done a really good...
I didn't get that.
Really? Okay.
No.
Well, we could debate this for a second, because the staff has been really coy about making sure they don't really over-reference Dylan or hand him the job beforehand or crown him before he takes a snap here. And Marcus Satterfield was specifically asked about what Dylan Raiola does from a leadership standpoint, and he said that they've really had to talk to him about bringing the energy, and other guys are going to feed off of him. And I don't know if you're having that conversation with him unless he's slated to be the guy. I don't know. I don't know if you make the statement, other guys are going to feed off of your energy unless your energy is the guy that's going to be out there on the field.
I mean, the other side of that coin, Jimmy, is that shouldn't you be telling all of your quarterbacks that? Shouldn't all of them be coached to bring the energy and let the other guys feed off the energy they bring from the huddle to the field to standing on the sideline? That's what you want out of your quarterbacks? I mean, if anybody in that room is deficient in that area, I would think that you should be talking to them about that.
Right, but he specifically brought that up about Dylan. And I don't know if that is a concentrated effort for a guy who isn't the starter. Like, if your third string guy just isn't bringing the energy to the huddle, I don't know if you're going out of your way to coach that. Obviously, you're having that discussion in the room, in the quarterback room, in the meetings, and having those conversations privately. I don't know if you're coaching that throughout practice.
Sure. And I'm not under any other impression than they want him to be the guy.
Yeah.
They probably need him to win the quarterback competition and win it by a wide margin. They need him to leave no doubt that he's the number one. But I still go back and reference what Matt Rule said in his last press conference, where he specifically did not want to answer questions about any individual performance by the quarterbacks. And his reasoning was he believes that they should go through the fire. They should suffer the competition. They should all have to earn their place. And because he said he believes that when you give somebody, especially a young quarterback, that safety net early of telling them they're the guy, then they don't have to experience those ups and downs of, maybe I was a little behind today. Maybe now I'm in the lead.
Can we walk through this process for a second?
Sure.
Because I want to have the real conversation about the ramifications of Dylan Raiola not being the day one starter. If Dylan Raiola, albeit obviously an injury, if Dylan Raiola is not the starter against UTEP,
okay,
you now have a situation with a coaching staff who put all of their eggs in a quarterback that led the nation in turnovers, and then he had more turnovers on average when he got to Lincoln.
What if it's
And
Danny
Jeff
Kalen?
Sims. Hold on. Then you go out and you land the number one quarterback prospect in the country after several invested hours of recruiting energy that you failed twice on, and then had to re-recruit and get him back to Lincoln after he decommits from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Is the automatic perception, if it's not Dylan Raiola day one, that this coaching staff can't develop quarterbacks? Because I think you're really dangerously close to that conversation if that's the case.
I think it would be way too soon to say that. The thing is that this coaching staff at this university has to put a product on the field that can win.
Agreed.
And it has to win now. And they have to do the thing that gives them the best opportunity at winning football games right now.
When you say win now, give me a number. Like they have to win how many games for it to be considered successful this season?
They've got to go to a bowl game.
Okay. So I think, I don't know if that necessarily equates to what we slate as the win now mantra. Because to me, win now is like 8-9, be in competitive situations to possibly compete for a conference championship. To me, that's winning now. I don't know. It obviously looks a lot different because the way the last 8 years have gone. But I don't know if what's crazy is I think we look at it completely different. Like, let's say something weird does happen. Heinrich Haarberg is your day one start. Thanks, Dan.
That would be weird.
It would
That's
be
a weird thing.
It would be.
That
But
would
I mean,
happen.
listen, Matt Rule has talked about how he's light years ahead of where he was a year ago. You've got Marcus Satterfield who's saying that he's vastly improved in the way he throws the football.
Look,
Matt Rule couldn't remember who led a 99-yard drive, whether it was Dylan Raiola or Heinrich Haarberg. I don't think that was cannon fodder. I think that was real, a real life thing to where it's getting a little mixed in translation of who's out there. But let's say that Heinrich Haarberg is your day one starter against UTEP. Do you think Nebraska wins more games or less games than if Dylan Raiola is your day one starter?
See, I can't make that judgment because I haven't seen Dylan Raiola.
What is your
play
knee-jerk
football.
reaction, though? If they win less, right? He's the more experienced quarterback. He's played college football. He won games a year ago. And I think the perception right now, and listen, this does not matter inside those walls in Lincoln.
He was a starter for 5 wins. So
yeah, this does not matter in those walls inside of Lincoln.
and
Nor
if
should
Heinrich
it.
Haarberg had started every game last year, they probably would have won 6 or 7.
They probably would have won an 8. But I don't think there's anybody in this state right now that thinks that if Heinrich Haarberg is your day one starter, they're in a better position than they would be with an 18-year-old freshman quarterback. And that's weird. That's a weird place to be.
It's a tough conversation to have, though, man, because I'm very conservative on things like this. I just when I say win now, I'm using it in the context of the program. Right?
Okay.
It's going to be very hard to survive another 4 or 5 win season. And I'm not saying that they're going to get fired or anything like that, but the belief within the walls and externally,
Yeah.
that all the goodwill that Matt Rule has built up through his recruiting and his press conferences and saying all the right things and being this dynamic presence and personality, that's going to start to erode if you're not putting a product on the field that looks like it's progress, right?
See, and I always think about Mario Verduzco in this discussion because so many people, when he first got here, loved his personality, loved the sunglasses, the big hair, the Doc Brown-esque personality that he brought with him.
He was the no-nonsense gunslinger whisperer.
And
right?
then after 2 years, everybody went, oh, no, he's just a weirdo.
Yeah.
And I love Ed Foley. I think Ed Foley is a really good, but what Ed Foley has done as far as the in-state high school stuff and been that guy that's on social media posting hamburgers at joints and stuff, it really feels like if things
Not
were
hamburgers and joints.
Yeah. Not until he gets to Colorado. No, I'm just kidding. But it's one of those things that, do we look at that differently? Like the resources spent on that effort if they don't win. Like it's a positive now
Yeah.
because it's trending in the right direction, and I love it. I love what Ed Foley is doing, but it feels like that'll be the first thing that people circle and go, well, why are they expending a coach to do all this stuff?
Sure.
And when it could be focused in different areas. And
Yeah.
and I for what it's worth, I think it is going to work, and I think this season sets up perfectly for it to work. But they still got a ton of question marks. Like we're still having this discussion about quarterbacks, even though it's pretty damn obvious who the starter's going to be.
You think it is? I don't.
Yeah, it's Heinrich Harburg.
Like, clearly. Listen,
No, seriously. I want to go back to this because it's a little bit annoying because the idea that we would win more or we would win less with Heinrich Harburg, it doesn't matter. He's a guy. He is one man. Actually, he's not even a man yet, technically. He is a boy.
like,
He is a boy who is
He's
in
20.
college.
He's like 22.
no,
He's
boy.
22. He is a boy.
Taylor Swift wrote an album about him. No, I'm like,
If he starts for
hold on,
UTEP,
hold on.
I'm not going to hold on because if we start him against UTEP,
Yeah,
what is Colorado going to have film of? Heinrich Harburg starting at quarterback for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Boom. Next week, you throw Dylan Raiola in there and you say, what up, Dion? You thought you were all that? You thought you were hot with your Louis Vuitton luggage?
You're
But-
95.
but-
We are coming.
like you're like that UTEP game. Listen, Nebraska is going to be a 27.5 point favorite probably going into that game. It can't be overstated how important that game is for reps, though.
You might see all three.
Yeah, right, but you've got to get whoever the starting quarterback is reps against a live Division I defense, especially if it's one of the two freshmen. And
Oh, certainly.
like when
Yeah.
you have and granted, it's a completely different situation, completely different quarterback, completely different coach. But when you have the Georgia Southerns and the South Alabama situations of the world that you had just 3 years ago, it is not in this state or this team or this coaching staff or these players' best interest to assume it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows when you show up to play UTEP. Granted, it's UTEP, and on paper, you should beat them by 1,000. But that game better be taken as seriously as when they play Wisconsin or Iowa, because if they get stuck in neutral in that game, especially with where this offense is today, that is not a good sign.
All right, you presented me with some scenarios. Let me present you with one. Dylan Raiola starts the UTEP game
Mhm.
and doesn't look like he's ready.
Okay,
Then what?
you don't worry about that. Let's be honest. Wouldn't it be kind of weird if he walked in and looked like the prodigal son day one? Like, this is a freshman who has not taken a snap in a college football game. Like,
But we have seen quarterbacks of his caliber do exactly that. His recruited caliber, not anything we talk
Right.
about on the field. His star ranking, his national ranking, his recruiting profile. We have seen quarterbacks come from that sort of profile, step right in on day one and look like the dude.
yeah, the state of Nebraska will be engulfed in flames if that's the case, but you can't handle it like that internally, because if he's the guy for the future, and you've got to get him better and develop him from Sunday to Friday after that.
But I think what I'm getting from you, Jimmy, is that he should be the guy, even if he isn't necessarily ready.
Yes, 100%. You have the number 24 ranked player in the country coming to visit this weekend because of the prowess of playing with Dylan Raiola. Don't kid yourself about anything else. Like, yes, Matt Rule is a great recruiter.
Mhm.
You've got great recruiters on staff. Garrett McGuire is really good at what he does. The number 24 prospect in the country of the 2025 class is coming to Lincoln on Saturday to play with Dylan Raiola.
And I understand that. And I guess I'm just on the other side of this, that this coaching staff has to do what's in the best interest of putting marks in the win column. And if it's not Dylan Raiola as the starting quarterback right now that gives you that best opportunity, then you have to do something different.
You brought him in to be the quarterback of the future.
Yep.
And I think you can mortgage the 2024 season
Ooh,
to build for the
Ooh.
future.
I don't know. I see that makes me nervous to think about, like, we're going to give up on another season for
Let me ask you this.
some potential.
And it's so hard to see the forest through the trees. And when Big Red overreaction hits in late August, it's going to be a dumpster fire anyway, right? Especially if the scenario we're painting right now is the case. But is there any Nebraska fan in the world that wouldn't take a 5-7 season this year to win 10 games in 3 seasons? Yeah. Everybody in the world would take it, right?
If you can make those guarantees, sure.
Right, but it's one of those things, and that's what I mean by mortgage the season. If you can make sure, if you can guarantee that reps, if your evaluation of Dylan Raiola is, if we could fix A, B, and C, and it can equate to a conference championship game 2 or 3 years down the road, and it is the best interest of us 2 or 3 years down the road to make sure he's getting those reps now, even if he's not ready, to get him in-game experience. And listen, even if he's not the day one starter, he's an injury away from being the day one starter. They don't have enough depth in that room to really even move pieces around and entertain the idea. Like, it's one of those things that if he's an injury away from becoming the day one starter, isn't it in your best interest to make sure a guy is getting the most reps and the most valuable time out on the field now? So when you feel like you're in a better position, you do have a couple of recruiting classes under your belt, and you feel like the culture has developed to where you want it to be, and you've got a couple of seasons under your belt down the road, to get that guy more reps now. So when you feel like you're in a better position, he gives you a better chance to win then.
I don't think it's fair to the seniors on the team to do that. And I don't think you can look those players in the face who've put 4 or 5 or even 6 years into this program,
or 9,
and say,
because of COVID
look,
seasons.
I know it's your last year and I know you want to win, but we're thinking about the future. So we're gonna do what we have to do this season. And look, we're probably gonna lose some games because we're making some moves for down the road. But sorry about your luck. Is that's not fair to them, and I don't think that's a thing that Matt Rule would do. I don't think he works that way, and I don't think he's going to operate his football team that way.
It's such a double-edged sword, though, right? Because it's that standpoint of it. Do I look my seniors of the 2024 class in the eyes and tell them that we're putting them in a situation that maybe not be beneficial for them? Or do I look the 2026 seniors in the eye and say, we're sorry we didn't get this guy ready. We're sorry we didn't get the reps for our younger players that we needed to make sure that we were in a better position to win down the road. It's one of those things you've got to walk a really fine line, because it's not always cut and dry one or the other. And to your point, I think they need Dylan Raiola to win this job and not leave any doubt out there.
That is the dream scenario.
And
he's the clear-cut number one.
I'm telling you right now, I will be amazed if he doesn't. I think they've reached that point, and I think on Saturday,
listen,
you're going to clearly see all 5 quarterbacks, and it may be not even as much of Dylan Raiola as you'd like to, but the fact that you do have the recruits, and we're going to talk to Brian Munson at 6:30 about this, the guys that you have coming in, you're going to want to kind of show them what they're going to be able to come play with too. So if you might see some limited ability or some limited time from Dylan Raiola on Saturday, you're not going to see limited throws. They're going to run some routes and give him the opportunity to showcase his arm.
I am honestly hoping that he wins the job and wins it by a wide margin, because that's the best scenario for the health of the program and the mental health of the fan base. That's the best scenario. But we also have to be ready if that's not what happens, because it's going to be tough if anything but that happens. It is going to be a rough start to the season. And now, if they start winning a bunch of games, it's all good in the hood, right?
Yeah.
But if they start somebody else,
this schedule lines up for that to be the case.
If they start somebody else and maybe they're winning but not looking great, or if they lose a game early, dude, it's going to get seriously rough around.
Can we have the realistic conversation for a second, though? Do we live in a world, and Matt Rule could say what he wants, and Dylan Raiola could say what he wants, but do we live in a world where a guy flips his commitment from Ohio State to Georgia and then to Nebraska without some pretty solid guarantees? It might be wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but realistically, can we with the way college athletics is right now, how many 5-star guys are going? Let's take the last names, the names on the front of the jersey out of it. How many 5-star, top 1, top 5 style quarterbacks are decommitting from a team that's won a national championship twice in the last 3 years to go play at play for a team that hasn't made a bowl game in 8 without some kind of guarantees.
I don't know. Does Matt Rule strike you as the guy who guarantees people starting positions if they commit to his program?
For a guy of that caliber, yes. I don't think there's a coach in the world today that wouldn't be that guy. That's not a derogative of Matt Rule. That's how you do business in today's college world.
Then let's have, if you want to have realistic conversations, then Jimmy, let's have an actual realistic conversation. You mortgage this season.
Mm-hmm.
You push Raiola out there 5-7. That's your end of the year record. Next year, you don't get 10 wins. Maybe you get 8. You think Dylan Raiola is satisfied with that?
Yes, I do.
You think a guy who flipped his commitment twice and went to 2 different high schools between four different high schools is going to say, you know what? I'm seeing progress, but not enough of it. Because that's what I honestly think, is that he'll say, I'm seeing progress, but not enough of it. Hey, Kirby, you still got that spot available?
You've got to listen, you've got to take into account the family that he comes from, right? Like, Dominic Raiola is one of the smartest business people you will ever meet. Like, the guy gets to the way you play the game, but also has such an affinity for this university and this state. And I know you make all your Trev Alberts references and jokes you want, insert them here, but Dominic came out and said, we left it up to Dylan to make this decision. And that's when the flip from Georgia to Nebraska came. And it feels like he wants to be here. We're at a moment where his little brother, who is 16 years old and by all accounts may end up being the number 1 player in his recruiting class, is literally in the weight room on weekends while there's coaches camps going on because he wants to be here. This family wants to be here. So anybody else that has this ability to flip their commitment or transfer or go to this many different high schools, I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about Dylan Raiola, and I'm not concerned about this family. I feel very confident saying no matter what happens, he will finish his career out in Lincoln.
I think in this era, the coaches who are successful are going to be the ones who do not coach with a fear of who's going into the portal. You cannot coach that way. You have to.
You're a big Coach Prime guy, huh?
No.
Go ahead.
Coach Prime is doing it the opposite way of that. He's pushing people into the portal. But you have to put the best team that you possibly can without the fear of the future onto the field. That's the way it has to be. There are going to be transfers. This is the world you live in. You got to play for the now. You have to play for now. Like that's all you have, because in this era, tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yeah. I agree, but I think if you feel like you've had the conversations about where this program is going to be, and it may cost you 1 or 2 games this season to win 3 or 4 down the road, it's worth it. The juice is worth the squeeze, in my opinion. Speaking of eras, it has been dawned the Terrence Crawford era by some. He has a fight lined up in August. We're going to talk about it. He wants the smoke tonight. We come back. If you missed that segment, check it out. SoundCloud.com/After Hours 1620 was brought to you by Caddyshack Bar and Grill. 2 great locations. Stop by 117th and Blaughter, 180th and Harrison tonight. They have $1.50 domestic draws and $6 pitchers all night long. Stop out to Caddyshack Bar and Grill tonight. We'll be right back talking boxing here on 1620 The Zone. Hey everyone, it's Jimmy Allen here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. We all know that Jerry Ryan is the premier suit buying experience in the Omaha area. I've got 4 suits in my closet, all of them courtesy of Jerry Ryan. Stop out to 78th and Dodge. Get your suit game right for any big weddings you have coming up. Maybe you're hitting the charity golf circuit this summer and you need a brand new polo. They have all that in brands like Mizzen & Main, Johnny O. Stop by Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. Get your suit game right. Get your closet looking good this spring as well. Jerry Ryan's been dressing Omaha for over 50 years.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Spectacular weather into this evening. Partly cloudy skies, light winds, temperatures in the upper 60s. Mostly cloudy tonight We'll drop back in the low 50s for a low, and then cloudy and windy on Thursday, a high temperature in the upper 60s. I am Chief Meteorologist Phil Ranby from KETV News Watch 7.
Are you looking to be part of a winning tradition? The Bellevue University Bruins could be the right fit for you. Whether on the court or on the field, track or course, our student athletes strive and succeed. This year, Bellevue teams and individuals have combined to win 11 conference championships, with 8 teams qualifying for their national tournaments. Plus, nearly 50 student athletes were also named to all conference teams. Find out more about our tradition of excellence at BUBruins.com.
Are you dreaming of your business dominating local Google searches, drawing in customers effortlessly? Look no further. I'm Courtney, the Google gal from Pixel Fire Marketing. Need assistance with your Google business profile? From verification to boosting reviews, fixing maps, to tackling annoying Google calls? I've got you covered. Your profile sets you apart and ensures you're the top choice for local customers. Visit fixmygbp.com for our $99 special offer. Click fixmygbp.com for more details.
When you think Caddyshack, you think about an unforgettable dining experience. Stop in for Meatloaf Monday for just $10.95. Tuesdays are all about the happy with dollar drinks during all-day happy hour. Celebrate a Wing Wednesday with after hours. Thursday is spaghetti night for $10.95 a plate. Or grab some lunch on Fridays with the $12.95 hot beef sandwich. Caddyshack. 2 great locations off of 117th and Blondo and 180th and Harrison. The official watering hole of After Hours on 1620 The Zone.
When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Roofing. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Roofing come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less.
Fresh air, softball, baseball, basketball, grilling burgers, and the warmth of the sun on your brand new deck. It's the finer things in life that make it enjoyable. Forsman's Finest Decks can come build you a deck, put a cover on it, and give your house that facelift that you and it deserves. Head over to forsmansfinest.com to have your dream experience this summer. Forsman's Finest Decks, building the finest decks in Omaha.
It's Pro Time, Nebraska! The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, have exploded into the scene with record crowds and a fan experience that is second to none. Witness world-class talent at the CHI Healthcare Center in downtown Omaha. Have fun with family and friends and get to know this team and feel the energy that they are bringing to Nebraska. Don't wait to be a part of history. Secure your single match tickets today at supernovas.com. That's supernovas.com.
You are listening to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
$6:29 on a Wednesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. If you're looking to sign up for spring or even summer classes, head over to bellevue.edu. Register for classes. You don't even have to go to class on Fridays. There are no Friday classes at Bellevue University. Check out bellevue.edu and become a Bruin tonight. It's time for the Who Wants to Smoke segment. Terrence Crawford has patiently awaited a fight after his domination of Errol Spence back in Las Vegas in July of last year. He is slated to fight August 3rd, against Israel Madrimov, whatever, of the Uzbekistan native, who is the undefeated middleweight champion of the world.
That's Uzbekistan, Jimmy.
What'd I say?
Uzbekistan.
Whatever. The lightweight.
I'm here for you, man.
That's what my aunt says to her husband all the time. You back, Stan?
You back yet, Stan?
The lightweight champion of the WBO and WBA is set to defend his championship against Terrence Crawford in Las Vegas. And another fighter backed by Eddie Hearn. For anyone that's counting, Terrence Crawford is 3-0 against Eddie Hearn backed fighters, and Eddie Hearn talked about it today at the press conference and just mentioned how many times Terrence Crawford has broken his heart. And the one difference that I saw today in the first in the official contract has been signed, the face-off has happened, and it is going to happen in Los Angeles on August 3rd, was Brian McIntyre, Bo Mac, Terrence Crawford's head trainer, looked a little worried about this one. And I may be reading too much into it, But
the young buck.
Yeah, you've got a young a young undefeated incumbent champion who has something to prove and doesn't seem to be shaken by taking the fight with the pound for pound number one fighter in the world. And I say this with all the respect in the world to the Spence camp, but it felt like just being in the room that the Crawford training staff knew that they had the advantage on the training side. And listen, Brian McIntyre is second to none in the boxing game right now. But I think there is legit worry about the skill because Terrence Crawford's IQ is probably the best we've seen in the last 20 years in boxing. And I think the camp that is going to be on the other side, maybe the most competitive that we've seen Terrence Crawford go up against. And I think there's a little bit of maybe not a worry there, but a little less confidence in the skill level and the advancement that they've been able to have over the last 40 fights.
Yeah, well, Terrence isn't getting any younger.
Also, he's 36 now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is super interesting for a number of reasons. And the most interesting to me is the age gap. I mean, Madrimov he's young. He's an up and comer. He's obviously very hungry. He wants this fight. This is a chance for him to make a huge statement and make a name for himself and get himself a bunch of big paydays if he could win this fight.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, Madrimov is 29 years old, and the interesting thing, this is his first title defense. It's not like he stacked a couple of fights to head into this against the world's number one pound for pound fighter. He's taking this head on and doesn't really seem to be in awe of the Terrence Crawford aura, right? And he even mentioned it today, and kind of jokingly, he brought up that Terrence Crawford's his favorite fighter. And I thought that was really funny. It kind of made me chuckle. You don't really see that. The one thing I'll be interested to see about this fight is what the draw is from a pay-per-views buy and a ticket sale buy. It's in a bigger arena than it was in T-Mobile in Vegas out in LA. It's almost got 10,000 more seats. But I wonder what the draw and attention will be, because a lot of the reason there were so many people who had eyes on that Crawford Spence fight was you had 6 years of built up YouTube clips of them cornering. Well, not even them. Terrence cornering Errol Spence in back rooms and parking garages of other fights, just trying to make the fight happen. And the Crawford camp saying we've given them everything, and Errol Spence saying we've given them everything. And then we learned that Errol Spence was all the way full of crap. But it's just going to be interesting for me to see what this draw looks like coming off of that Spence victory to a fighter whose first language isn't English, and you won't have the trash talking back and forth that you had with those two camps between James and Bomac and everything that went on there. And you've got a couple of guys, specifically Eddie Hearn, who really respects Terrence Crawford.
And this is like we're getting into the territory now where Crawford is putting himself with his 40-0 record into that conversation of all-time elites.
Yeah.
Right?
He's got more knockouts than Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah. He needs to put away some big challengers. And this is a chance to put away a guy who, by all accounts, is set to have a long and very successful career.
Sure.
Right?
Which is kind of why it's surprising.
If he beats him now when he's in the prime of his fighting life, this is just another mark on that resume to say, like, push Crawford up that list of greatest all time.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. He just wants all four belts at 156. If you go get, if you unify a third weight class, and keep in mind, this is the fourth weight class that Crawford has fought in, is still undefeated. If you go unify 156 and you did it at 3 weight classes, the discussion may be over. You may be the most dominant fighter of all time without any doubt, especially if you win 4 or 5 more and you're talking about being 45-0 and you can knock out everybody. He's the best stopper in the game right now. Nobody is stopping people at the rate that Terrence Crawford is. And you can unify another weight class. There may not be another discussion to be had about who the best of all time is.
And the other thing I want to talk about is to your point, what will the attention span be for this fight? You have an Uzbek fighter and a fighter from the middle of the country.
Yeah. There's no Dallas, Texas native here.
No, there's no big time Vegas fighter. There's no New York. There's no Latino fighter.
Yeah.
You know, the big boxing crowds, right? Vegas, New York, Latin America. Right. Those are who usually draw the most. So, I mean, I wonder a little bit about what the attention on this fight
and
will be.
I will tell you this. I was there in Vegas, and listen, this show is working on getting out to LA for this fight as well. We'll have more details on that later, but there is no doubt in my mind that T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, where it's supposed to be Errol Spence's backyard and much closer to Dallas, Texas than it is Omaha, Nebraska, was probably a 70-30 Crawford split.
Yeah.
There was a heavy contingency from Omaha there, and we were around the writers and the press people all week long, and they were blown away with the representation that Omaha had in Las Vegas on that weekend. I don't expect that to be any different in this fight in August.
I mean, Nebraska travels for their own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking forward to August 3rd. And
Terrence Crawford's from here?
You didn't know? He wears Omaha on his trunks. Hey, if you missed the Who Wants to Smoke segment, check it out at SoundCloud.com/AfterHours1620 was brought to you by 402 Barbecue. You can stop by 84th and Spring Monday through Saturday from 11 to 6. Try mine, Dan and John's personal favorites, the Cadillac sandwich. It's brisket, it's pork. It's topped off with the world-famous smoked mac and cheese. Make sure you mention to Kelly and the team. You heard about them on After Hours. She's going to throw in a free soda with a purchase and the mention of our show. It's 402 Barbecue. Stop by tomorrow and grab lunch. We'll be right back talking to Brian Munson from Husker Online on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Pyramid Roof Contractors. Warmed up a bit today. And you know what I say? When it warms up, you want to get out there and hit the links. You don't want to be dealing with a roof. You don't want to be climbing up there looking at shingles. You're going to be standing over 3-footers for birdie. That's what you want to be doing. You don't want to be hanging off the side of your gutters, inspecting them, cleaning them out, finding out what's up. It's not fun. You know what is fun? The golf course. So get out on the course and let the #1 roofer in Omaha for 12 straight years come out and take a look at your roof. They're going to look at the windows, the gutters, the siding. They can do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com to book your free estimate today.
The dream of playing the sport you love may be closer than you think. The Bellevue University Athletic Department proudly sports the best scholarship funding among NAIA programs in the state. To compete with the best, we need to recruit the best. All incoming freshmen earn a $5,000 scholarship when they enroll at Bellevue University. Learn more by looking us up at BUBruins.com and reach out to your future coach today.
Graduation season will be here before you know it, and you can have the 402 barbecue truck come to your party or event you're hosting. Stop by the Brick and Mortar on 84th and Spring and try the food. Then, when you get the craving, come back and book the food truck to be the caterer for your event. Graduations, company outings, community events, they do it all. 402 Barbecue at 3027 South 84th Street. Stop by today and grab lunch.
Hey fellas, listen up. Are you or someone you know ready to make that big day unforgettable? Look no further than Lovebound Media, your go-to for capturing the epic moments of your wedding. With Lovebound, it's not just about photos and videos, it's about creating a story that screams you. From the jaw-dropping shots to the heart-pounding video edits, they'll make sure your wedding day is nothing short of legendary. So if you're ready to say I do to memories that'll make you feel like a king, hit them up at Lovebound Media today. Let's make magic happen.
Spring has sprung, so get to Jerry Ryan's and celebrate. They have polos, shorts, sport coats, and golf shirts. Regular fit and trim fit, they have it all. Jerry Ryan offers $50 off any purchase of $250 or more. Spend $500 and get $100 off. If you're hitting the summer golf fundraiser circuit, spend $1,000 and Jerry Ryan will take $200 off your total purchase. Get to 78th and Dodge and bring in spring.
At Jerry Ryan's, we bring out the best in you.
Fresh air, softball, baseball, basketball, grilling burgers, and the warmth of the sun on your brand new deck. It's the finer things in life that make it enjoyable. Forsman's Finest Decks can come build you a deck, put a cover on it, and give your house that facelift that you and it deserves. Head over to forsmansfinest.com to have your dream experience this summer. Forsman's Finest Decks, building the finest decks in Omaha.
Henry Dorley Zoo has done it again, Omaha. Omaha Zoo isn't just #1 in your heart. It's also back to being ranked America's #1 zoo. Chesterman Coca-Cola and Hy-Vee are celebrating being #1 from April till May. Stop by any local Hy-Vee and get a 6-pack of your favorite Coke products in mini cans, just 3 for $11 from now through May 14th. Henry Dorley Zoo is #1, and you can be too with Chesterman Coca-Cola and Hy-Vee this April.
Now back to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back to the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by Bellevue University. If you're looking for the ideal spring enrollment situation, there's no better place than bellevue.edu. Become a Bruin, and you don't have to go to classes on Friday and do the majority of the work online. Well, we're now joined by Brian Munson from Husker Online and On3. Munson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Are you? Did you get a chance to sneak out to the baseball game today, or no?
I did not. I was doing a podcast this afternoon, and then I got stuck dealing with some other stuff, as one does on a Wednesday. But I'm really excited for the way that baseball is shaping up in this state across the board, though, for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to see the Skeens character that was in from the Pittsburgh organization, because he was pitching against the Omaha team. So
yeah, the Storm Chasers in action today, and obviously the #1 pick in town. But I unfortunately, albeit 8 feet away from Warner Park today, was not able to make it over there. And then obviously having to be here for the show tonight took a lot of show prep. But the Huskers got a busy weekend ahead of them as well. Obviously with the spring game coming up. Right now, just a handful of players, 7 guys on campus from the 2025 class. Has that number changed at all? Does that number seem low to you for this weekend?
It has changed a little bit. So, and there's been some swapping of names that have kind of happened. So, Adonis Curry, that was, had visited Nebraska maybe a week or two ago, top flight cornerback from California, had to reschedule. Nebraska kind of swapped out and grabbed Antonio Branch. Nebraska also walked away from a linebacker recruit, and they are bringing in one of 3 offensive linemen from Las Vegas Bishop Gorman High School that have Nebraska offers. The one that'll be in town for an official visit this weekend is Alai Kalanuvalu.
I was going to let you do that one.
Yeah, Alai Kalanuvalu. Every vowel is its own syllable. And then obviously it's about 7. It seems about right. You have some really top flight guys. I mean, you probably have your top 2 remaining, or maybe even possibly top 3 remaining wide receivers on the board now with having 2 guys in the class. You obviously are hosting Alai. He's got to be right at the top of your board for interior offensive linemen, along with John Mills, who's in town this weekend, who actually visited Nebraska a week or two as well. And then you obviously have your #1 quarterback in town, TJ Lateef. And he had there was a really great write-up on On3. I think Chad Simmons did it. And it talked about how Nebraska is recruiting him the hardest, but they're also not pressuring him. And that was pretty big in his eyes. He's not trying to go someplace to put on a brand or look for clicks like the one Colorado guy said when he entered into the portal.
Yeah,
I think Lateef is really looking at this from like a very wholesome, genuine perspective. I think Nebraska's in a really good spot with him.
Obviously, he may be the most important piece that's in this weekend, the 4-star quarterback from California, the Orange County area. How big of a deal is it for Nebraska to get a quarterback in this class, even when they have 2 freshman quarterback on scholarship right now heading into this season?
It's massive. I mean, I was just talking with somebody this morning about having, just 3 guys in the room with the scholarship. There's a lot of potential there in the room for some disastrous scenarios that I don't even want to kind of ponder too much with you. But I mean, if Raiola gets the start this fall, right? There's a couple guys that are currently in the room that have to think long and hard about, what their journey forward, at Nebraska might potentially be like. So I think that then puts a really big importance on 25. I think it really puts another importance on 2026, where you start to pull Dayton Raiola back into the picture, and maybe a Jet Tamala picks up an offer from Millard South. So there's some interesting scenarios, obviously, over the next 2 years at the quarterback position.
You brought up Latif, and the fact that he is a California native gets me kind of wondering, when the landscape of college football has changed the way it has over the last a couple of years here, now that the Pac-12 really isn't even a thing anymore, when you're talking to recruits, is that something that is being brought up, in the fact that it is a little more difficult to play games closer to home now and be seen kind of in your television market the way it's been used to?
That hasn't come up from that lens. It has come up, though, that the Big Ten footprint does now pick up the West Coast, and that there is a little bit more Big Ten relevancy out there on the West Coast than what there ever was. I mean, all of your listeners, you and I would agree, we were tuning in at 10 o'clock at night to watch Washington or Washington State or whomever play the late night game out there. And it just becomes kind of this afterthought after a long day of stuff. I mean, you're 11 hours into the day, essentially, from the first games. And when you're kind of watching the kickoffs at 11 o'clock. So yeah, I think that the relevancy and the footprint with Big Ten kind of going out there, grabbing some West Coast teams, actually has opened the eyes of a couple of these players, because they're going to be playing a little bit closer to home now in a couple times a year. And obviously, you're putting basically a channel into the living room of those folks that probably just skipped on by it, like I do with all the Pac-12 channels on my service provider. Now the Big Ten channels are way more relevant when it comes to watching, a couple of these guys that are coming from the area going to play at Big Ten schools.
Obviously, with the spring game being this weekend, all eyes are going to be on the quarterbacks. But before we get there, it'd be remiss to not mention that there's probably a really big reason that the number 24 recruit in the country is going to be on the sidelines this weekend as well, with Michael Terry III coming in to check out Nebraska's program. Do you think that's a direct result of Dylan Raiola possibly being the starter in Lincoln, or do you think it's more of what Matt Rule and the staff have done up until this point?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that people have to come to the understanding that Garrett McGuire, first of all, is a very good boots on the ground a coach to go out and recruit, particularly like in the state of Texas. He has got like a guy like Emmanuel Choice coming in with Michael Terry this weekend. Cortez Mills, a little different. Garrett McGuire, definitely part of that picture. Wasn't necessarily one of the guys leading the charge with him. But I think what you have there is you have a staff that's recruiting these guys differently. They're very diligent. They stay in good communication with them. The communication is not only just at the volume, it's from a consistency basis. It's there. But then to your other point, I believe that there is some wave of Dylan Raiola that's going to get rode out here a little bit, because people are very interested in seeing firsthand, like, how Raiola is going to go out there and what it really looks like to have a true freshman, out there on the football field. How far along is he? How strong is that arm? And trust me, when you bring in three wide receivers, like Nebraska is doing it this weekend with Terry and Cortez Mills and Emmanuel Choice, and you're going to have, Jackson Carpenter and Bryson Hayes, the two commitments already in the stands. They want to demonstrate that. They want to show off what their new toy is a little bit. So I can absolutely anticipate a couple, if not three, really long bombs, coming off that arm of number 15. And everybody's going to be very excited to see it, including those guys that are going to be in the stands, particularly Michael Terry.
Nebraska got a commitment from a transfer portal player and Vincent Jatone, and the linebacker from Montana. Was that as out of left field for you as it was for me, or is this something that's been in the works for a while?
Not out of left field. I mean, I think it was surprising when we saw his name kind of pop up. I mean, we have some pretty good connections still back to the family. The family still lives in North Platte. Montana is very similar to Chapel Hill, Dean Smith days where, a true freshman just doesn't see the field. You're kind of relegated to weight room work, and coming out and doing some scout team stuff, but otherwise, stand over there, be seen, but not be heard. But that being said, Genatone was in a situation where he was likely going to play a huge role for Montana this year. He was likely going to play some time at linebacker. He was in the running to be in the return spots too from special teams. So a la Randy Stella. So that's a very interesting little combination. Obviously that's a 10-5, 100 guy. So I think that he's the kind of guy that, bring him into Lincoln. You have that guy that's going to test incredibly well, that's an effort guy. He gets sold short because, he doesn't have that prototypical height. He doesn't have that, but he's got this outrageous speed and athleticism that kind of makes you want to look past any type of shortcomings when it comes to checking the box on the D1 profile and what a guy needs to look like and how tall he needs to be. So I think Genatone, once he kind of showed up in the portal, I think that Matt Rule made him a priority to get him back home because I think that he can flourish, basically with Matt Rule being the head coach in Lincoln.
And is that kind of why we can rule out maybe the ill will or hard feelings about the offer not coming the first time and moving forward?
Yeah, I think that the first time around, I think it was a pretty pivotal spot in Scott Frost's career at Nebraska. He had to win. And would Genatone have been a guy that if Scott was coming off of a 9-4, 9-5 season, if he'd won 8 or 9 games, does he take a chance and grab him? I think that he absolutely would have. But I think the pressure being there to bring in a couple guys that would be a little bit more day one difference makers got in the way of kind of seeing the big picture when it comes to Genatone. So there were some really nice, kind of sponsoring tweets out there too about how great of an athlete Genatone is and how great of a player he was. Obviously another wrestler to kind of add in there too. Just a great athlete all the way around from track and football and wrestling. So I think he's going to fit right in Lincoln. It's going to be very fun to kind of watch him, but it'll be interesting to see what they do because they got a real big log jam with all the players at Jack. Is Genatone a guy that can move inside? Is he a guy that they can drop off into coverage, or is he like an in the box kind of safety guy too? Because he doesn't have that 6'3", 6'4" length, but he has that foot speed. So maybe he's a guy they feel like they can put him down in the box and play safety too.
Is there anything in particular you're looking for this weekend out of this coaching staff or out of this team that you expect to stand out on film during the spring game?
I'll be watching a few positions for sure. I want to see what combinations and when some guys are kind of rotating in on the offensive line. I'm interested in Gibson Pyle. I'm interested in Grant Bricks. I've heard several good things about both of the true freshmen that are there in Lincoln already. So I want to see those guys kind of rotate in. I want to see who's playing the interior positions, how they're kind of gelling together, how the chemistry is going. Obviously, the quarterback position is going to be under the microscope by everybody. But in reality, I think you need to look behind that a little bit because I think that Nebraska still has the potential to want to dip into the portal to maybe grab a running back to beef up that room. They didn't get a guy in the 2024 class. You brought in Dowdle. Is Emmett Johnson, can Ramir, can Dowdle, can you get there all the way with riding those guys? I'm not sure. There's been some really interesting guys that gone into the portal recently. So maybe Nebraska gets active there after this game. So stay in there, transfer wide receivers. And obviously I want to see what's going on at linebacker a little bit, watch Bayer, see what he's doing as the inside guy and see if they have any other needs on that side of the football.
If there's outside of quarterback, what's the one position that you think can't have a major injury either Saturday or in the fall?
Saturday or in the fall, what position can they not afford to lose anybody at? Boy, I tell you what, running back again. If you lost to Dowdle or Emmett or Ramir, like right off the bat, like game 1, game 2, man, you're in such hot water. the rest of the season long. I mean, it's just so tough to stay healthy at that spot regardless. But if you lost somebody early with that room the way that it sits, you may have a really, really challenging season to kind of get through everything after Colorado, where you think things are a little better than 50-50 that you could win for like the next 4 or 5 games.
We're talking to Brian Munson from Husker Online and On3 here on After Hours. Munson, if it's the question that's been on everybody's mind, it's been debated, it's been kicked around. Obviously, when you have the 2 freshman quarterbacks that we've referred to, there's always the question, will Nebraska try their toe in the water in the transfer portal for a quarterback after the spring is over? What say you?
It's certainly possible. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat it. I mean, you're running 3 scholarship quarterbacks in the room currently. You have to understand that there is risk that you are assuming with that strategy. Would it have been, a situation where like a Casey Thompson, had he chose to walk on, sit around for a year? Yeah, but that's not what a Casey Thompson wants to do. Now, is a Jeff Sims going to go do the same thing at Arizona State? Possibly. He maybe just wants to play a little bit more ball. But I mean, you're really in a tough market to try to find a guy that can provide depth, that isn't looking towards like the hidden agenda that they can come in and potentially start over any of the 3 guys that Nebraska currently has. So sit there, be an emergency response kind of guy. If it is an emergency like so big, so desperate, you would have to be ready. So having that kind of mindset on a guy, it's going to take the really right scenario. If not, trying to find a guy that's willing to come in that has 3 or 4 years left, that isn't scared about competing against a Raiola kind of going forward, or a Kalen kind of going forward. And again, I think you're going to find it challenging enough to get a 2025 quarterback to kind of follow two 2024 guys that are already there in Lincoln.
That's Brian Munson from Husker Online and On3. You can follow him at Brian Munson _ on Twitter. You can follow his work at HuskerOnline.com as well. B. Munson, we appreciate it. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right, buddy. Take care.
If you missed Brian's segment tonight, check it out at SoundCloud.com/AfterHours1620. It was brought to you by Going Vertical Omaha. Going Vertical is the premier training facility in the Midwest, working with athletes as young as kindergarten all the way up into the pros. GVB offers a variety of packages from individual workout, group lessons. They also offer elite level sports performance training to athletes of all sports. So check out the academy at GoingVerticalOmaha.com tonight. We're going to find out what's trending on social media. We come back on 1620. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Forsman's Finest Decks. Decks aren't the only thing to find. The weather is getting fine outside as well. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, but it's been beautiful out today. Maybe you want to enjoy your deck today and tomorrow, but you don't have a cover on top of it. Forsman's Finest Decks not only can come build you a brand new deck, they can take an existing deck, put a cover over it, and add that something that your house has been missing so you can enjoy the outdoors in all kinds of weather. Head over to forsmansfinest.com to have your dream deck built this spring. Forsman's Finest Decks, building the finest decks in Omaha.
Are you looking to be part of a winning tradition? The Bellevue University Bruins could be the right fit for you. Whether on the court or on the field, track or course, our student athletes strive and succeed. This year, Bellevue teams and individuals have combined to win 11 conference championships, with 8 teams qualifying for their national tournaments. Plus, nearly 50 student athletes were also named to all conference teams. Find out more about our tradition of excellence at BUBruins.com.
Fresh air, softball, baseball, basketball, grilling burgers, and the warmth of the sun on your brand new deck. It's the finer things in life that make it enjoyable. Forsman's Finest Decks can come build you a deck, put a cover on it, and give your house that facelift that you and it deserves. Head over to forsmansfinest.com to have your dream experience this summer. Forsman's Finest Decks, building the finest decks in Omaha.
When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Roofing. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Roofing come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at
PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less.
When you think Caddyshack, you think about an unforgettable dining experience. Stop in for Meatloaf Monday for just $10.95. Tuesdays are all about the happy with dollar drinks during all-day happy hour. Celebrate a Wing Wednesday with after hours. Thursday is spaghetti night for $10.95 a plate. Or grab some lunch on Fridays with the $12.95 hot beef sandwich. Caddyshack. 2 great locations off of 117th and Blondo and 180th and Harrison. The official watering hole of After Hours on 1620 The Zone.
It's pro time, Nebraska. The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, have exploded into the scene with record crowds and a fan experience that is second to none. Witness world-class talent at the CHI Healthcare Center in downtown Omaha. Have fun with family and friends and get to know this team and feel the energy that they are bringing to Nebraska. Don't wait to be a part of history. Secure your single match tickets today at supernovas.com. That's supernovas.com.
Spring has sprung, so get to Jerry Ryan's and celebrate. They have polos, shorts, sport coats, and golf shirts. Regular fit and trim fit, they have it all. Jerry Ryan offers $50 off any purchase of $250 or more. Spend $500 and get $100 off. If you're hitting the summer golf fundraiser circuit, spend $1,000 and Jerry Ryan will take $200 off your total purchase. Get to 78th and Dodge and bring in spring.
At Jerry Ryan's, we bring out the best in you.
Did that trash or recycling truck roll by your house without stopping again? Hi, I'm Megan with Papillion Sanitation. At Papillion Sanitation, trash and recycling is our passion. From residential to commercial, we've cleaned up Omaha and surrounding areas for more than 30 years. So if your home or business needs reliable, friendly trash or recycle service, check out papillion-sanitation.com today and see how our customer service and professionalism can't be matched. Head over to papillion-sanitation.com to upgrade your trash or recycling service today.
Now back to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
$7:02 on a Wednesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. If you're looking to sign up for spring or summer classes, head over to bellevue.edu. You don't even have to go to classes on Friday at Bellevue. Check out Check out bellevue.edu to register for classes and become a Bruin tonight. It is time for the social media soundbite where Dan Campion lets us know what's trending on Twitter. Dan, what do you got for us?
Not gonna lie, I got a little bit lost just in general with where we were in the show. So I am glad to know that it is a social media soundbite, and also I'm glad to play this for you.
What's new inside Club Med these days?
You'd be surprised. What you can hear is the most rankest type of crowd that you will hear.
Was that Club Patrick or Guitars and Cadillacs or Nico?
The Roxbury?
Or the Roxbury? Which one was
Dan
it?
is not old enough to know any of these references. Go ahead, Dan.
I understand the night at the Roxbury.
No, there was a club in Omaha.
Yeah, it
called
was
the
just called
Roxbury.
Oh, yeah.
Is the Max still there?
The Max? Yes, the Max is still there.
Okay.
The best. The best. But no, what we were listening to is a hockey crowd at last night's Vancouver Canucks matchup. And who was the camera focusing on? Think of famous
Taylor Swift.
Vancouverans. She is famously not from Vancouver.
Shania Twain.
Drake? No,
I
he's
think-
from
I
Toronto.
don't think she's from.
He's from
Vancouver.
Toronto. No, it was focused on Michael Bublé.
He's
And
from
Mike-
Vancouver, huh?
He is. He is from Vancouver. He is a famous Canadian.
I knew he was Canadian. I knew he was from Vancouver.
Mark one in your famous Canadian column for Michael Bublé. But what people were
Isn't Ryan Reynolds from Vancouver too?
He is, yes.
Yeah.
That was actually who I thought your guys' guess.
That's the name that was in my mind. I figured it was wrong though because he's got Cooties and
Dude, Seth Rogen is from Vancouver. I didn't know that.
Yes, he is.
Good.
But you might think, oh, Michael Bublé, pretty famous guy, pretty good singer. Where would you think that one Michael Bublé would sit when he goes to a Vancouver Canucks game?
In the suites?
No, he's probably going to be sitting at the entrance. This is where I would sit if I had a ton of money. I wouldn't sit in the suites. I wouldn't be like in the Lexus Club area. I would sit like the area right before the concession stand, so I didn't have to walk a long ways to get to and from places.
So actually, Jimmy might be on the right track for where about
I'm just
Michael
saying,
Bublé was sitting, because he was upper deck at the game, sitting with
The common folk,
with regular people,
you measly peasants.
and doing what you're supposed to do at any sporting event when a camera is on you, and firing up the crowd so much.
Well, he's a hockey fan then because he wants the whole ice view by sitting in the upper deck. When you sit down low, you get a very narrow view of the game.
What's your favorite Michael Bublé song? I don't know it either. So I was asking. I'm not a Bublé guy, Dan.
It's cover of Feeling Good. This is most famous. Birds in the sky, something flying high.
I'm sure I've heard some of his songs. I just can't name it.
Well, if you want to hear all the Michael Bublé talk, you can handle check it out at soundcloud.com/after-hours1620. The social media soundbite was brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If your business needs help with online marketing, maybe you want to design some Facebook and Meta ads that you can run on Facebook and Instagram. Pixel Fire Marketing will create you an ad, modify it 82 different times so that computer learning, aka AI, will generate enough different changes to your ad. It will always target your ideal client. If you want more information about it, check it out at pixelfiremarketing.com. Tonight, we'll be right back. Buying or selling. Hey, but it's Jimmy Allen here for Pepper Jack's Grill. It's late night. Work day's over. Hear that sound? No, it's not Michael Bublé. It's your stomach rumbling. And if you're hungry, you can stop at one of the 10 Pepper Jack's locations throughout the Omaha area tonight. Me, personally, I get a steak rice bowl. I throw grilled onions, mushrooms, green peppers on top of it. The spicy ranch, I don't know how it's legal to sell. It's that good. Stop at Pepper Jack's tonight and grab it.
The dream of playing the sport you love may be closer than you think. The Bellevue University Athletic Department proudly sports the best scholarship funding among NAIA programs in the state. To compete with the best, we need to recruit the best. All incoming freshmen earn a $5,000 scholarship when they enroll at Bellevue University. Learn more by looking us up at bubruins.com and reach out to your future coach today.
Ready to make a positive impact in a young boy's life? Join Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Midlands and become a mentor where you are matched up with a boy in the greater Omaha area. Over 50 boys are waiting for someone like you to guide and inspire them. Visit mentoromaha.org and sign up to make a difference in a boy's life. Don't wait. Make a lasting impact today.
It's Pro Time, Nebraska. The Omaha Supernovas, your Major League Volleyball team, have exploded into the scene with record crowds and a fan experience that is second to none. Witness world-class talent at the CHI Healthcare Center in downtown Omaha. Have fun with family and friends and get to know this team and feel the energy that they are bringing to Nebraska. Don't wait to be a part of history. Secure your single match tickets today at supernovas.com. That's supernovas.com.
When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Roofing. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Roofing come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at
Spring has sprung, so get to Jerry Ryan's and celebrate. They have polos, shorts, sport coats, and golf shirts. Regular fit and trim fit, they have it all. Jerry Ryan offers $50 off any purchase of $250 or more. Spend $500 and get $100 off. If you're hitting the Summer Golf Fundraiser Circuit, spend $1,000 and Jerry Ryan will take $200 off your total purchase. Get to 78th and Dodge and bring in spring.
Jerry Ryan, we bring out the best in you.
Henry Dorley Zoo has done it again, Omaha. Omaha Zoo isn't just number one in your heart. It's also back to being ranked America's number one zoo. Chesterman Coca-Cola and Hy-Vee are celebrating being number one from April till May. Stop by any local Hy-Vee and get a 6-pack of your favorite Coke products in mini cans, just 3 for $11 from now through May 14th. Henry Dorley Zoo is number one, and you can be too with Chesterman Coca-Cola and Hy-Vee this April.
There's never been a better time to choose a new career path than right now. Hi, I'm Tracy with Papillion Sanitation. If you're at a point in your life where you want a career, not a job, Papillion Sanitation is the place for you. From 401k options to opportunities for career advancement, come make Papillion Sanitation your future. Check out papillion-sanitation.com today to apply and make a change for the better. Papillion Sanitation, equal opportunity employer.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
$7-11. It's open 24 hours a day. It's also the time in the Central Standard Time region of the country here on After Hours on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Papillion Sanitation. If you're looking for a new career, don't apply at 7-Eleven. Head over to papillion-sanitation.com. You can become a driver. Even if you don't have a CDL, they will help you get one. There's even up to a $10,000 stick-around bonus as well. It's time for Buy or Sell with Dan Campanen, who has questions like this one.
Gentlemen, turn your mics on. Pitchers are going down at a rapid pace in Major League Baseball. Buy or sell, the majors have a massive issue right now.
Massive. It is an understatement. It's a huge problem. 45 major league pitchers have had Tommy John surgery in just the last calendar year alone. Over 175 between the majors, AAA, Single A, and AA ball have had the surgery. It is a major, major issue.
Yeah, I wonder what is causing the acceleration. Is it just like the amount of strain that these pitchers are putting on their arm? Because they're not throwing more innings than they used to. That's not the case. But major league pitchers are throwing fewer innings year over year over year. The starting pitchers are throwing fewer and fewer and fewer innings. So it's not the overall wear and tear. It must be something about just the level of strain you're putting on the arm with each pitch, trying to just increase velocity and spin rate and all those things that are causing these injuries. So I don't know if there's a way to fix it. Yeah, I buy that there's a massive issue. I don't know if there's really a solution.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's not like you're going to be throwing less violently and people are going to be taking less speed off their pitches. It's unfortunate, just seems to be a part of the game now.
John, you're a fan of British things.
I am.
Is this a problem with cricket bowlers as well?
I don't believe that it is, because theirs is more of a like whole arm throw. They come like it's more in the shoulder than the elbow. That it's like the arm almost stays straight through the entire delivery. They're not, even the spin bowlers are like, they're not like rotating that elbow to an obscene degree.
There's this cool new website called Google, and I just asked, do cricket bowlers get Tommy John surgery? The fastest balls in cricket history still have been measured around the 100-mile-per-hour mark. One benefit from the delivery style is that it almost completely removes the need for Tommy John among bowlers. So there you go.
Yep.
Questions asked.
It's
questions
the bowling
answered,
style. Dan. It's because that elbow stays straight almost through the whole delivery. So.
Yeah, there's no strain on the ligament. Dan, what else you got?
Just for reference, I don't know anything about cricket. I've watched it a handful of times.
I was going to be amazed if you just pulled that out and had some cricket info.
I understand the rudimentary basics of the game, and I've watched it a handful of times. I am by no means any sort of knowledge base of cricket. Like, I don't know.
Let me ask you a question about. No, I'm just kidding. Dan,
John Schreiner, British expert.
What else we got, Dan?
Now, rugby. We can talk rugby. I can get into some rugby talk.
Oh, we'll get into that one of these days. The Detroit Lions are looking to pay I should say, paying Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown a combined $100 million. Buy or sell, this spells bad news for Jared Goff being the long-term quarterback for the Detroit Lions.
Buy. There's no way you're going to be able to keep him around. He's not going to take a pay cut at this point in his career. He'll just retire. I don't think that he is going to be
retire.
Yeah. What's he, 34? Right?
Oh, I don't think he's even that old.
Jared Goff is 29. Jared Goff is...
He's not retiring.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't know what market outside of Detroit there's going to be for him after this run. Obviously, he's had a little bit of a renaissance. I don't think there's a market for a guy out there like Jared Goff. And I just didn't seem like he loved the move to Detroit, and I don't think he would love going to play for another team.
I'm selling this. I think it's good news that they're keeping his best offensive lineman and best wide receiver in town and expecting him to play with those guys. I think it's a good sign that they're not looking to burn it down and rebuild. I think they like what they have. Jared Goff, look, they won a playoff game with Jared Goff as their quarterback.
You can't make this up.
So
you can't make this up.
I
hold on.
I think it's
the Detroit Lions literally just posted they're in talks with a contract extension with Jared Goff.
I think it's a good sign. And I just said as much.
Literally, they just posted it from the Detroit Free Press too. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, well, I stand corrected.
Thanks, Mitch.
I'm selling. I absolutely think that this is a great sign. And you know what? At some point today, even the Detroit Lions may come out and give you a contract extension for Jared Goff.
I was going to say, Jared Goff also seems like a guy who's in the boat.
I literally refreshed Twitter, and there it was at the very top. Live radio, folks. Dan, what else you got?
The 2024 NFL Draft.
Nope.
22.
Right? The 2022 NFL Draft saw a record-setting 9 trades in the first round. Buy or sell that this year's draft can break that record.
So this year's draft will be the 2024 draft. So you're correct, Dan.
Thank you.
I'm selling. I know there's a lot of talk about a lot of movement in this draft, and obviously we know that the Bears are not moving off one. There's still discussion whether the Cardinals will do it, and there's a few other teams that have the ability to trade. I think we're going to see less than 5 in the first round.
Yeah, I don't actually see very many trades at all in this first round. The only place I might see it is if one of those quarterback needy teams trades back into the first round if a Bo Nix or Michael Penix is still sitting there at like 24, 25, 26. I think the teams near the top are set on what they want to do for the most part. You said the Cardinals might be willing to trade back a couple of spots if there's a team that wants a quarterback. I think they still have their eyes and hearts set on either Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors. So, yeah, I think it's probably going to be a lot of standing pat as well.
I'm just assuming I'm going to refresh Twitter here and see that 6 teams have traded in the NFL draft in the last 4 seconds. Dan, what else you got?
Well, real quick, speaking of the NFL draft, have we seen the Twitter fodder that downtown Detroit has begun to provide from usual Detroiters?
No, what's happening?
What do you got?
Detroit has
Are
made
they building a new stadium too?
Massive improvements to their downtown area.
Dude, I'll tell you this.
They've put up those classy signs that have like if you want to go over to the Riverwalk district, it's 0.2 miles that way. It's 0.3 miles over here to the Little Caesar Center and all that stuff. And all these Detroit people are like, oh, we're breaking out the fine china now that the relatives are going to be in town.
I've been to Detroit 4 times. And usually it's when it's been really cold out. It's been during football season. And I got the first opportunity to be up there when it was a little bit warmer out when we went up to the Sweet 16. I was pleasantly surprised with how much cleaner Detroit was during that stint. And Dan, it's famously 45 minutes away from Ann Arbor. But it's one of those things that
famously.
When I was up there for the very first Nebraska-Michigan game when Nebraska joined the Big Ten. And it kind of matched the narrative that you think about when you think Detroit. Kind of run down, a little bit dirty. They really cleaned up, specifically to your point, Dan, the downtown area. And I was really surprised with how much cleaner it was for this trip. Also, really cool, the monorail that runs around town is all wrapped with the NFL draft logo, and a bunch of stuff around town was already NFL draft themed, even back for the Sweet 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Dan?
Also, speaking of which, for the two of you and for all of our listeners out there, go look up the Detroit sign diss track that was made by a local guy. It's amazing.
Good stuff.
Detroit sign diss track.
They were supposed to get a big old Detroit sign. It's a little Detroit sign, and it's worth listening to this guy just lay down hot fire about
Does
dissonance.
Eminem make an appearance?
He does not,
That's
surprisingly enough. Last question for the night. Dylan Edwards, the Colorado running back who visited Nebraska before committing to Colorado, people forget, has now decommitted from Colorado. Buy or sell that Colorado fans should be concerned about the future of this program.
He's actually transferred. So that question was worded incorrectly. He is transferred from Colorado, which means another player has left this program.
It's a late decommitment.
It's I guess the same thing. But when we look at
Uncommitted.
when
Divorced.
when we look at what is happening in Boulder, there's no way this works, right?
No.
I know you've got Warren Sapp talking about national championships and Coach Prime saying that he's not worried about these guys that are leaving. If you're the athletic department, you have to be really concerned at this point, right? Like, what is this like? Granted, there was improvement last year. They won more than one game, but when you're talking about what your program could look like when this coach decides to leave, or if worse comes to worse, you have to make him leave, that's not going to be great.
Well, first of all, they are, among everyone who's not a Colorado fan, a laughingstock.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is looking at the Colorado football program and going, what in the world are you doing? Like, there's not a person outside of, people who are just bleeding black and gold,
all six of them,
who believe that this is a good idea to run a program this way. Because, like, eventually, I'm not saying it's now, but it's starting to be now, you're going to run out of people who will just believe in the mythos of Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a gold chain and fancy sunglasses only go so far. At some point, there has to be player development.
Hey, he wears hats.
There has to be, wins.
Yeah.
There has to be players who get
Better.
drafted.
Yeah.
There have to be players who improve. There have to be players who stick around for their entire career. Like, the environment just has to get better at some point, and it's getting worse.
Is there any part of you that, like, there's some sort of appreciation for the fact that he's not sugarcoating it? Like,
no, because I think he's lying.
About which part? No, I mean from the not from the standpoint that he doesn't care that people are transferring. I think that actually sticks in his craw maybe more than anything, that people are voluntarily walking away from him as somebody that clearly cares about being a magnet for human beings' attention.
When he
but
says,
I mean,
he says, "Who are we losing?" Like, you know who you're losing.
I mean, from a standpoint of, he doesn't sugarcoat and be like, this guy that was going to play fourth string running back for us this year. And I'm not saying that about Dylan Edwards, but I mean,
he's going to be the starter.
Yeah, I'm saying about guys that may not be making an impact, where he's not like, the sky is falling and we should all be caring about this. Like, is there any part of you that looks at that and goes, okay, at least he's not giving us the Bill Belichick, we're on to Cincinnati moniker?
I don't know, because to me he is.
Okay. I can see that. I can see it both ways.
Doing that.
I can see it both ways.
He is sugarcoating it by saying, "Who are we losing?" Like, you're losing players who should have been important
that
to
you
your program.
Put resources in to get to come here. Like, these aren't this isn't a previous coaching staff guy. This is somebody you brought in.
He's trying to tell you that all the players that are transferring are nobodies and they weren't going to make it in his program, when that is absolutely not the truth, and he knows it's not the truth.
Yeah, and you're starting to get players speaking out about it too, and that's not good for Colorado. Hey, if you missed Buy or Sell tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by the Omaha Supernovas. There's a late game Friday night, and you can be in attendance. All you got to do is head over to supernovas.com to purchase your tickets tonight. Supernovas.com is your spot for the Pro Volleyball Federation Final Four as well. Make sure you buy your tickets tonight at supernovas.com. We'll be right back giving you our trash takes tonight here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Caddyshack Bar and Grill. They've got two great locations. You can stop out tonight, whether you choose 117th and Blondo or 180th and Harrison. They've got great discounts on drinks all across the bar, including $1.50 domestic draws and $6 pitchers all night long. Stop out at Caddyshack Bar and Grill. It's the official watering hole of After Hours on 1620 The Zone.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Spectacular weather into this evening. Partly cloudy skies, light winds, temperatures in the upper 60s. Mostly cloudy tonight. We'll drop back in the low 50s for a low, and then cloudy and windy on Thursday, a high temperature in the upper 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Bill Ranby from KETV News Watch 7.
Did that trash or recycling truck roll by your house without stopping again? Hi, I'm Megan with Papillion Sanitation. At Papillion Sanitation, trash and recycling is our passion. From residential to commercial, we've cleaned up Omaha and surrounding areas for more than 30 years. So if your home or business needs reliable, friendly, trash, or recycle service, check out papillion-sanitation.com today and see how our customer service and professionalism can't be matched. Head over to papillion-sanitation.com to upgrade your trash or recycling service today.
Are you looking to be part of a winning tradition? The Bellevue University Bruins could be the right fit for you. Whether on the court or on the field, track or course, our student athletes strive and succeed. This year, Bellevue teams and individuals have combined to win 11 conference championships, with 8 teams qualifying for their national tournaments. Plus, nearly 50 student athletes were also named to all conference teams. Find out more about our tradition of excellence at BUBruins.com.
Are you dreaming of your business dominating local Google searches, drawing in customers effortlessly? Look no further. I'm Courtney, the Google Gal from Pixel Fire Marketing. Need assistance with your Google business profile? From verification to boosting reviews, fixing maps, to tackling annoying Google calls? I've got you covered. Your profile sets you apart and ensures you're the top choice for local customers. Visit fixmygbp.com for our $99 special offer. Click fixmygbp.com for more details.
When you shop local, you help strengthen our community. So if you need roof repair, gutters, siding, even windows, call local Pyramid Roofing. They're the #1 roofer in Omaha for more than a dozen years. Let Pyramid Roofing come and give you a free estimate. Give them a call at 402-502-9300. That's 402-502-9300. Or visit them online at
PyramidRoof.com. Never settle for less.
Henry Dorley Zoo has done it again, Omaha. Omaha Zoo isn't just #1 in your heart. It's also back to being ranked America's #1 zoo. Chesterman Coca-Cola and Hy-Vee are celebrating being #1 from April till May. Stop by any local Hy-Vee and get a 6-pack of your favorite Coke products in mini cans, just 3 for $11 from now through May 14th. Henry Dorley Zoo is #1, and you can be too with Chesterman Coca-Cola and Hy-Vee this April.
Are you ready to elevate your taste buds? Look no further than Pepper Jacks, your go-to destination for bold flavors and endless choices. Dive into their mouth-watering rice bowls, crisp salads, hearty Phillies, savory burritos, and loaded nachos. What sets them apart? Complete customization. Choose your base, proteins, toppings, and sauces for a personalized culinary adventure. At Pepper Jacks, it's not just a meal, it's an experience. Unleash your cravings and savor the bold tastes at Pepper Jacks today. Life's too short for bland. Spice it up at Pepper Jacks.
You are listening to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
7:28 on a Wednesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Papillion Sanitation. It's time for our trash takes of the evening. What will happen here is Dan, John Schreiner, myself will all give you a take. We'll put a poll up on Twitter. You will vote for who had the best take. The person with the fewest votes will have the trashiest take of the evening. Anybody want to start us out? Oh,
Me?
Dan volunteers.
I said it without my mic on.
Dan raised his hand first.
We'll go Dan, me, John. How's that sound?
All
right. Go ahead, Dan.
Hey, Chicago. It's me, your best friend, Dan Campanen. You know that football team that you guys have?
That Aaron Rodgers still owns?
Actually, technically, he gave the lease over to Jordan Love, but that's a whole nother thing. All the legal matters get settled, behind closed doors. We keep it classy in the city of Green Bay.
I see that.
The Bears still suck. They still suck. Oh, so hard. Congratulations on most likely picking Caleb Williams tomorrow night. Still going to suck. You know what else really sucks? The fact that you guys are such wimps and want to put a dome over your stadium.
It's cold outside.
You guys ever heard of a competitive advantage?
Cold
You're going to put it right on the lake. You're going to put a marina outside of it. Number one, and all of the renderings that you have supplied the city and also your fans and also the internet at large, which, by the way, not a great idea to give those to the internet. Where are people going to park? I don't really understand how you think you're going to put this stadium where it is. I know there are renderings, blah, 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 blah. But still, where are people going to park? Are you going to allow people to tailgate on the baseball fields? I don't really know what you're planning on doing. Oh, also, you ever maybe think of paying off Soldier Field before you actually build a new stadium?
Don't say things that make sense, Dan.
Could be a good idea. You know, hey, Mr. Pritzker, if you're listening, I'm speaking now to the whole state of Illinois. Don't give the Bears any money to build a new stadium. I know, blah, 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 commerce, blah, 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 bigger concerts, blah, blah, blah. You can still do that at Soldier Field. You have a perfectly fine field that is technically a national landmark, if you want to say it that way. Don't allow the Bears to have a new stadium, JB Pritzker. Don't give them any money. And Bears fans, this is the end of my rant. And I would like to end it by saying, you still suck.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, I'm on board with one part of that.
That the Bears
make
still
billionaires pay for their own football stadiums. I have been beating that drum since I have been a part of this show, and I'm going to continue beating that drum. Make billionaires buy their own stadiums. It's not the public's responsibility to fund their business.
No, it is not. Oh yeah, I said I was going next, didn't I? I'm sorry.
The Hallises have a lot of money, so
yeah, spoiler alert.
I mean, I don't care if a team wants to play in a dome. I don't care. That doesn't bother me at all.
I've been on the record of saying that I think every team in the NFL will play inside of a dome by 2035. I even just tweeted that on Twitter, so it'll live on the internet forever.
Never.
My trash take of the night is
domes are for chrome domes.
The Tattoo 4 from Columbus, Ohio. Better get their wins reinstated now that Reggie Bush has been awarded his Heisman Trophy, and rightfully so. For anybody that doesn't know, Reggie Bush was given his Heisman Trophy back today by the NCAA. It's important to remember that when the NCAA came out and made name, image, and likeness legal, they didn't state that name, image, and likeness was now legal. They stated the fact that what the NCAA was doing in not allowing student athletes to benefit from their name, image, and likeness was illegal. Therefore, you now have a situation where if you're the tattoo, and I'm referring to the people, the players in Columbus who had their wins stripped away from them and were basically ridiculed for it, now have something to point at and say, what is different about us versus what happened to Reggie Bush? And I think they should be given back their wins, and I think they will be.
Look, I don't think any of it should have been the punishment should have been handed out in the first place.
Agreed.
Like, did Reggie Bush getting paid make him a better player? And that's what the Heisman Trophy is about. Who's the best player in college football? Right?
Yeah.
Did him getting some benefits make him a better football player? Was that the reason he was good? Absolutely not. So it was stupid to take it away from him in the first place. It had nothing to do with his play on the field. It was an administrative matter, if anything. And like, he was still the best player in the game that year. He still won the vote.
We all remember watching it.
Vacating wins is also very dumb to me. So yeah, I'm on board.
John, your trash take of the evening?
The NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League, still has a problem. You'll remember the investigation from a couple of years ago in which widespread fraternization problems, sexual harassment problems, sexual abuse problems were uncovered by an independent investigator. And a lot of coaches and people in ownership were forced out of the league. It caused the league to create new rules around fraternization. Nobody in a position of superiority was to have a relationship with anyone who could be in any way deemed their subordinate. It's a league-wide rule.
What a thought process,
right? But last month, the Houston Dash fired their goalkeeping coach for an improper relationship.
Oh, why, John?
And just today, the team in Kansas City, the team that I worked for one season, the Kansas City Current, has fired the head of their medical department for violating the non-fraternization policy. When is it going to end? When are we going to learn as a society, nay, as men?
Yeah, thank you.
That this is improper. In any business, be it sports, the private sector, the public sector, whatever it is, having a relationship with your subordinate, especially when you're a man and that subordinate is a woman.
I'll even go further. Don't date somebody you work with.
It happen.
Nothing good is going to come of it.
There are things in our society that we have to be better at. And this is one of them. And the NWSL, despite their repeated attempts to curb it, have not been able to solve it. And it's not necessarily a problem with the league. It's a problem with the people working in the league. It's got to change, and it's got to be better.
I agree with all of that. And if you agree with any of our trash takes, make sure you head over to Twitter and vote for who you think had the best take tonight at After Hours 1620. If you missed any of the trash take segment, check it out. SoundCloud.com/After Hours 1620, as well as brought to you by Forsman's Finest Decks. If you want to enjoy the warmer temperatures outside, but all you got in the back of your house is a slab of concrete, enjoy the finer things in life. Let Forsman's Finest Decks come build you a deck, put a cover on it, add that something that your house has been missing. Head over to forsmansfinest.com to have your dream deck built this spring. We'll be right back talking about Big East versus Big 12 basketball here on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everyone. Dan Campanen here, clearing his throat so that he can clearly remind you that Pepper Jack's has 10 great local locations where you can get whatever you want to eat tonight. Because if you're like me and anyone else right now, your stomach is probably rumbling. And you know what that craving is that you have? It's Pepper Jack's. You know you can go there and get your bowl, your steak gunner Philly, whatever you want, but do not skimp out on the Pepper Jack's fries. I've been telling you about them for a while. You got the fries and you got Jimmy's Spicy Ranch. You put them together, game-changing flavor combination in your mouth. So why don't you go to one of Pepper Jack's 10 great local locations tonight? Get you some dinner.
There's never been a better time to choose a new career path than right now. Hi, I'm Tracy with Papillion Sanitation. If you're at a point in your life where you want a career, not a job, Papillion Sanitation is the place for you. From 401k options to opportunities for career advancement, come make Papillion Sanitation your future. Check out papillion-sanitation.com today to apply and make a change for the better. Papillion Sanitation, equal opportunity employer.
Graduation season will be here before you know it, and you can have the 402 barbecue truck come to your party or event you're hosting. Stop by the Brick and Mortar on 84th and Spring and try the food. Then, when you get the craving, come back and book the food truck to be the caterer for your event. Graduations, company outings, community events, they do it all. 402 Barbecue at 3027 South 84th Street. Stop by today and grab lunch.
The dream of playing the sport you love may be closer than you think. The Bellevue University Athletic Department proudly sports the best scholarship funding among NAIA programs in the state. To compete with the best, we need to recruit the best. All incoming freshmen earn a $5,000 scholarship when they enroll at Bellevue University. Learn more by looking us up at BUBruins.com and reach out to your future coach today.
Hey fellas, listen up. Are you or someone you know ready to make that big day unforgettable? Look no further than Lovebound Media, your go-to for capturing the epic moments of your wedding. With Lovebound, it's not just about photos and videos, it's about creating a story that screams you. From the jaw-dropping shots to the heart-pounding video edits, they'll make sure your wedding day is nothing short of legendary. So if you're ready to say I do to memories that'll make you feel like a king, hit them up at Lovebound Media today. Let's make magic happen.
When you think Caddyshack, you think about an unforgettable dining experience. Stop in for Meatloaf Monday for just $10.95. Tuesdays are all about the happy with dollar drinks during all-day happy hour. Celebrate a Wing Wednesday with After Hours. Thursday is spaghetti night for $10.95 a plate. Or grab some lunch on Fridays with the $12.95 hot beef sandwich. Caddy Shack. 2 great locations off of 117th and Blondo and 180th and Harrison. The official watering hole of After Hours on 1620 The Zone.
Are you ready to elevate your taste buds? Look no further than Pepper Jacks, your go-to destination for bold flavors and endless choices. Dive into their mouth-watering rice bowls, crisp salads, hearty Phillies, savory burritos, and loaded nachos. What sets them apart? Complete customization. Choose your base, proteins, toppings, and sauces for a personalized culinary adventure. At Pepper Jacks, it's not just a meal, it's an experience. Unleash your cravings and savor the bold tastes at Pepper Jacks today. Life's too short for bland. Spice it up at Pepper Jacks.
You're listening to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
7:40 on a Wednesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Papillion Sanitation. If you're looking for a new career, head over to papillion-sanitation.com and become a driver today. There's up to a $10,000 stick around bonus as well. Speaking of sticking around, Creighton basketball is going to stick around this fall, and they're going to host a big one in their non-conference. The matchups for the Big 12 Big East battle have been released. Creighton draws Kansas. Kansas is coming to Omaha to play the Jays in a game.
That surprise you at all?
No, because they did it basically based on
geographics
and like previous season rankings. It looks like too, if you match up kind of where everybody ended up.
That a Kansas UConn matchup would be even a bigger ticket game.
Yeah, I do, but I think it's one of those things that also, like, I think Creighton is kind of, and yes, obviously UConn's the back-to-back national champions, but I think Creighton's done a really good job of asserting themselves as a national brand now, as well. So you say that, but it's one of those things that I don't know. I still think that Creighton deserves kind of their flowers a little bit and deserves a chance to be recognized as one of those now current day blue bloods. And I know Mac hasn't made a Final Four yet, but it's one of those things that feels like it's a matter of if not when, and they're going to have a ton of young talent to showcase in that matchup as well.
The thing that struck me about a lot of these is I don't like the matchups for the Big East.
Yeah, because listen, we'll run through the list here. Baylor goes to UConn.
Kansas, favoring UConn in that one.
Kansas comes to Creighton, like we just mentioned. Butler goes to Houston.
Don't like the Big East in that one.
Marquette goes to Iowa State.
That's a tough place to play, even for Marquette.
Kansas State heads to St. John's. Give me the Johnnies in that one. Xavier heads to TCU. I think I'll take Xavier.
Really?
Yeah. Cincy goes to Villanova. Give me Villanova. BYU at Providence. And then you've got Oklahoma State going to Georgia, Seton
Hall.
Seton Hall. And then you've got Georgetown at West Virginia, and then DePaul at Texas Tech. Those last three give me the Big 12, by the way. There's not a ton of great matchups, but I think
they're all I actually think they're all pretty good matchups. I'm just saying, like,
I mean in favor of the Big East. I think you've got 2-3 where you're probably going to be favored.
UConn, probably maybe Xavier, but that's at TCU. That's another tough one.
And then
and Villanova at home.
I think Marquette will be favored
at Iowa State.
I do.
Hilton Coliseum.
Yeah, just because I think Shaka's going to have things rolling. I really do.
That's probably a pick 'em for me. I think playing at Iowa State's tough. It doesn't look like it's a very – and look, the Big 12 is probably top to bottom the premier basketball conference right now.
They definitely were a year ago.
Yeah.
And I think followed closely behind by the Big East. I think the Big East was the second best conference in basketball last year.
So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be fun. Like getting Kansas to come to CHI to play Creighton.
Yeah, the fact that we're getting Kansas in Omaha is
good luck getting into the arena. That
is the story here. Yeah, and that's the thing is anytime KU has been here for the tournament, it's been pretty tough to get a ticket. And
good luck to KU fans getting into that arena.
Yeah, it's going to be a situation where you've got you're gonna listen. I don't think there's gonna be an issue. Kansas fans travel so well. They know what they've got to do ahead of time to get in, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be reminiscent of LSU when they're here for the College World Series. You're gonna have a ton of people wearing a different color than yours. Well, I guess it's still blue, but a different sigil on the front of their shirt than you're used to seeing.
Maybe we'll get a red on blue color on.
It'll be a different bird that day.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's a huge get for Creighton to get Kansas to come in this capacity, and really cool that Creighton gets one of the home games out of this situation too. Because as we just discussed, it wasn't guaranteed, and they're gonna be probably the marquee matchup of that day with two perennial. Obviously, a lot still depends on what Trey Alexander, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and Stephen Ashworth do, but they're probably going to be the draw of the day in college basketball that day, especially if you have two, if not three of those guys back.
And that Baylor-UConn matchup looks pretty good too, depending on what Scott Drew can put together. But, man, there are some – I mean, we don't know what BYU is going to look like without Mark Pope now being the head coach at Kentucky. So that'll be an interesting look. What does Villanova look like? What does Cincinnati look like?
Yeah, and you may have a situation where Kyle Neptune might be coaching for his job at that point too.
Could be.
There's a ton of storylines going into all of these games that I'm really excited about. And basketball season is still 7 months away, and it's going to be a ton of fun around here. I think for another year, I think Nebraska is going to be pretty good again next season, and I think obviously Creighton,
if Rink Mast comes back.
Yeah, would you be surprised if he doesn't? With the knee surgery stuff, I mean, I'm more concerned about him not being available than transferring somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is essentially the same thing, but
yeah, I would be surprised if he doesn't come back. I would say that, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of draw for the overseas stuff, but we haven't heard anything officially, but I just don't think we're going to have him healthy and available at that point. And it's probably going to be in his best interest to come back to college for one more year. But it's going to be really tough to forego that money from overseas that he's probably going to be offered to do so. We're going to wrap up the show by winning some money, as we always do here on 1620 The Zone. If you missed that segment, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Pyramid Roof Contractors. When it gets warmer outside, you're getting a little fog developing behind your windows due to the humidity. That isn't supposed to happen. Let the number one roofer in Omaha 12 consecutive years come out and take care of your roof, your windows, your gutters, your siding. They do it all at Pyramid Roof Contractors. Check out pyramidroof.com to book a free estimate this spring today. Winning you some dollars when we come back on the side of the break.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. It's just about wedding season. You need to look your best. You need to not show up the groom, but maybe you want to get in on that action. You want to be up there with the big boys when it comes to your suit game, and Jerry Ryan has got you covered. Also, it is golf season. If you're buying your polos at the big box stores, and yeah, they're cheap, but they wear out and the threads pop and they don't fit right, get yourself over to Jerry Ryan. Check out the great polos from Mizzen and Main, Johnny O, Cutter and Buck, all the great gear, and you can even get them with those nice little embroidered Creighton logos on there. Even if you're not a golfer, you just want to look good going to work in your business casual, they have you covered for that as well. Suits, all your business casual gear, you can get it all right there at 78th and Dodge. The store is Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. They've been dressing Omaha for over 50 years.
Did that trash or recycling truck roll by your house without stopping again? Hi, I'm Megan with Papillion Sanitation. At Papillion Sanitation, trash and recycling is our passion. From residential to commercial, we've cleaned up Omaha and surrounding areas for more than 30 years. So if your home or business needs reliable, friendly trash or recycle service, check out papillion-sanitation.com today and see how our customer service and professionalism can't be matched. Head over to papillion-sanitation.com to upgrade your trash or recycling service today.
Are you ready to elevate your taste buds? Look no further than Pepper Jacks, your go-to destination for bold flavors and endless choices. Dive into their mouth-watering rice bowls, crisp salads, hearty Phillies, savory burritos, and loaded nachos. What sets them apart? Complete customization. Choose your base, proteins, toppings, and sauces for a personalized culinary adventure. At Pepper Jacks, it's not just a meal, it's an experience. Unleash your cravings and savor the bold tastes at Pepper Jacks today. Life's too short for bland. Spice it up at Pepper Jacks.
Fresh air, softball, baseball, basketball, grilling burgers, and the warmth of the sun on your brand new deck. It's the finer things in life that make it enjoyable. Forsman's Finest Decks can come build you a deck, put a cover on it, and give your house that facelift that you and it deserves. Head over to forsmansfinest.com to have your dream experience this summer. Forsman's Finest Decks, building the finest decks in Omaha.
Spring has sprung, so get to Jerry Ryan's and celebrate. They have polos, shorts, sport coats, and golf shirts. Regular fit and trim fit, they have it all. Jerry Ryan offers $50 off any purchase of $250 or more. Spend $500 and get $100 off. If you're hitting the summer golf fundraiser circuit, spend $1,000 and Jerry Ryan will take $200 off your total purchase. Get to 78th and Dodge and bring in spring.
At Jerry Ryan's, we bring out the best in you.
Ready to make a positive impact in a young boy's life? Join Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Midlands and become a mentor where you are matched up with a boy in the greater Omaha area. Over 50 boys are waiting for someone like you to guide and inspire them. Visit mentoromaha.org and sign up to make a difference in a boy's life. Don't wait. Make a lasting impact today.
It's happening daily. We're being conned by the institutions we used to trust. The mainstream media is distracting us with meaningless headlines instead of focusing on the harsh realities facing American families. Time is short before something big happens, and that's why so many folks are preparing. They're becoming self-reliant by investing in emergency food storage from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure 4-week emergency food kits for each member of your family. Each kit contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $50 on each 4-week food kit you purchase. Plus, get free shipping on Ready Hour 4-week emergency food kits. You're not ready if it's not Ready Hour Foods. At My Patriot Supply, you can also get solar power generators, water filtration units, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your unmarked boxes ship the same day. Shop mypatriotsupply.com today. mypatriotsupply.com.
Now back to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
Put a bow on the After Hours Lounge tonight, brought to you by Papillion Sanitation. If you're looking for a new career, head over to papillion-sanitation.com tonight. We are all going to win you some money here to close out the show. Anybody want to start us off first? Dan, you volunteered earlier. You want to go tonight first? You want me to go?
I'll take it.
All right. Have at it, sir.
The New Orleans Pelicans and the Oklahoma City Thunder are playing a basketball game tonight in the NBA playoffs. Yay. Best time of year for basketball. Defense. Am
Johnny,
I right?
excited?
No.
Chet Holmgren tonight will score over 15.5 points, along with Brandon Ingram, who will go over his line of 19.5 points. And speaking of overs, the Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins will go over 7.5 total runs tomorrow. And I'm sorry to tell you, John, that will be all on the Twins side of things.
More than likely. Although they're not playing great either, though.
Baseball
They
season.
are-
You know, I don't know
they
if you
are
guys know this, but baseball season's over.
You know who's going to lose that game? Anybody that watches. John?
So me?
All right. I have 2 hockey picks for you. Both of them are tonight. I like Edmonton minus a goal and a half tonight on the puck line against the LA Kings. I just feel like Edmonton is the better team, and maybe a late empty netter seals the deal for a 2-goal victory. I like the Vegas Golden Knights as a plus 140 underdog on the money line. I think they take a 2-0 series lead tonight, and I'm going with some easy money tomorrow. Manchester City and Brighton and Hove Albion in the English Premier League. The over-under is 3.5. City might get 4 by themselves. Take the over in Man City, Brighton, and Hove Albion.
I am taking a couple picks all in the same game tonight, Dan, of the same volition. Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder minus 7.5 tonight. I also will take the over on Chet Holmgren's points tonight. Also, in a player prop featured bet that you can find in a couple different sports books, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander plus 40 points tonight, plus 830. Shea's going to go off. Give me plus 40 from SGA tonight. Always give me the After Hours Lounge, which you can check out at any time at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. You can also find it on 1620thezone.com under our radio replay page. For Dan Schreiner, Dan Campion, John Schreiner, I've been Jimmy Allen. Happy National Pigs in a Blanket Day, everybody.
There's never been a better time to choose a new career path than right now. Hi, I'm Tracy with Papillion Sanitation. If you're at a point in your life where you want a career, not a job, Papillion Sanitation is the place for you. From 401k options to opportunities for career advancement, come make Papillion Sanitation your future. Check out papillion-sanitation.com today to apply and make a change for the better. Papillion Sanitation, equal opportunity employer.
When you think Caddyshack, you think about an unforgettable dining experience. Stop in for Meatloaf Monday for just $10.95. Tuesdays are all about the happy with dollar drinks during all-day happy hour.